Shalom. A few days ago, we did a little talk about Gog and Magog, and we're going to continue this prophecy from Ezekiel 38, and it's a long piece. It's about 20 verses, and it's going to teach us the end of the story. And it's not what you think. Personally, God, of course, announces that Shem Kodeshi Yodia B'toch Ami Yisrael, my holy name, I will reveal in the midst of Israel. What does that kind of statement mean? I will reveal my reputation. How does a king reveal his reputation? Well, it depends on the reputation he wants to set. If he wants to have a reputation of being kind and patient and giving, he can do that. Or a king can also have a reputation of being fierce and just and righteous and demanding justice from his creation. This is a big thing in Kabbalah because the unity of heaven and earth is, well, that's the end game. That's the union of heaven, of the spiritual heaven and the physical earth, where the earth is consumed or subsumed by the holiness embedded in creation. It starts to come out, and it's seeking out and seeping out all the time for a long time, hundreds of years actually. The Messianic era, according to the Zohar, is 2,000 years, but that's spread a little thin for our memories. However, God says, Shilachti Eish b'Magog. Now remember, Magog and Magog came from the north. They dragged other nations with them to Jerusalem to fight against Jerusalem, and God threw down hard, as we learned in the last time, on these nations. Why are they trying to take Jerusalem? Are there no other places to establish new capitals? Why do they have to take that? Because they're really trying to replace God. They don't want God to be the Jewish God. That hurts. That cuts deep into many of the nations, because it means that they believe the wrong thing thousands of years. And God sent forth fire amidst them, and those who dwell in the islands. In other words, in the Mediterranean and further onward, there's many, many islands, and fire will be there as well. And we know there's giant earthquakes through the Mediterranean, under the sea, and they pop up once in a while. Now, this fire that's being sent out, why? Why would God need to burn anything? It says, because God, they will know that I am God. In other words, there's a difference between reading it in a book and experiencing it firsthand. And even if you experience it on YouTube, because it's a giant news video, it's going to have a deep impact on people. They're going to know, wait, this story, the Jewish story, the Bible story, it's all true, and it's all been designed from the beginning to reveal that we should know, that we all should know. The Jewish people are the ones who were chosen to tell everybody else they should know. That Shem Kodeshi Yodia B'toch Ami Yisrael, and I will reveal my holy name. What is it to reveal a holy name? It means that a reputation is established for you that precedes you. Like say that you're an unknown actor or actress, and suddenly you get a hit movie, and the world loves the movie, they love you. Your name has changed. Your reputation has changed. It goes way before you. You ever been in a restaurant in Hollywood and a whisper goes up in the crowd and people are suddenly craning their necks, and then they get up from their tables and then they run to see who it is? That's because somebody famous came in. They have a name. They want to see what carries the name, because the name carries power in our hearts. Wow, this is somebody special. This is something unique. I need to see them. I need to connect to them. Well, the whole nation's going to carry God's name in a way that everybody's going to know that the Jews are different. They do carry a spark of God in a very powerful, clear, revealed way. Now, they have to learn this themselves, ourselves, right? But people are going to look at a Jew and say, you're them. You're the one carrying that light, that name, that reputation. And it's an elevating thing. V'alo echel et shem kodshi od, and I will not diminish and suffer and denigrate my name anymore. In other words, God's not going to allow people to go around saying GD. It will be taken away from us. Because when a person says GD, they're actually, if it's in a verb form, you're actually cursing God. Or in another form, you're asking God to curse others, which God doesn't like to do. He doesn't like that request. So he's not going to allow his name to be profaned again. V'yedu agoyim, and the nations will know ki ani Hashem HaKadosh b'Yisrael, and the nations will know that we are chosen to carry his holiness in us. That's why we have the Torah, and that's why we have to keep the Torah. Because you can't channel the power of your own soul and not reveal God if you're at that level. And even if it's hidden inside you, once you know it, it's not hidden anymore. And the nations will know it, and the nations will know that God is holy amongst the Jews. God isn't amongst all the nations. God is in every speck of life in this universe. Of course he is, somewhere deep into the system. But it's the revelation of the knowledge that it is so, that people will see the presence. It's not going to be hidden anymore. And I will come. And God swears. And he swears, Hayom asher dibarti, today like I spoke. So he's reinforcing the prophet's message. V'yetzu yoshvei arei Yisrael, and the dwellers of the cities of Israel will come out, and they are going to burn, and they're going to set on fire all the weapons, and all the shields, and all the bows and arrows, and all the cudgels. Oh, I like that one. Uvaromach, and the spears, and they're going to set it all on fire. How long? For 7 years. That sounds like a long cleanup operation. 7 years it's going to take to burn their weapons. It's not an overnighter. It's not a 6-day war. So we have to have a sense of deep patience for how God's running this thing. And they won't even find trees in the field when they need trees. And they won't be able to carve out from the mountains the rocks they need. Because this is an interesting phrase. He already told us that he's going to send fire, and now he says, Beneshik. Neshik. A weapon will burn in the land, and your spoil will be spoiled, and your bazazu at the bozazim, well, usually that refers to false idols and, other symbols for such things. They're going to be shamed and destroyed as well. God swears it. And you see that also both of his names, two of his most powerful names, appear together in one phrase. That means it's a double down. All right? And on that day I will give a grave to Gog, the leader of this group that has brought all these other people against Jerusalem. I will make them a grave. Kid Matayam. Now remember earlier in the story, they were fighting against Jerusalem coming down from the north, which is basically the Golan, and perhaps Lebanon, and parts of Syria are to the north. Now, all those peoples are severely dedicated to their destructive ways. But what does it tell us? That they're going to be buried, not over there by Jerusalem, by the holy city, Kid Matayam, by the sea. By the sea they're going to be buried. That's a little bit of a walk, especially if they're dead. But listen to this. V'chosemeti et ovrim. They will close the highways where the people pass. Closing highways, closing borders. Sound familiar? But remember, we're talking about a 7-year war. V'kavru sham Gog, and Gog will be buried there. No, almost nowhere do you see a non-Jewish enemy buried in the land. He's taken out. But here he's going to be buried in the land because it's a further symbol of God's victory. V'kol hamono v'kara'u gei hamon gog. And all the multitudes of people will call that place the valley of the multitudes of Gog. I mean, we're not talking about 10 or 20 or 100 or even 1,000 people. V'kavarum Beit Yisrael, and the Jews will bury them in order to purify the land. 7 months of burial. A big cleanup. And all the peoples that came with him are going to be buried. L'shem yom kibadati, on the day that God honored himself. See, God honors himself using people to reveal his presence and his victory and his power and his purpose. We do not live in a nihilistic universe, an empty place of meaning, of no meaning. We live in a place where everything we do either it contributes, as Mr. Malcolm X said, to the solution or to the problem. And the solution is our Creator, and the problem is all those who try to hide and lie about him. And they will make distinctions and separations about people moving through the lands. It's not going to be a simple thing to go to Jerusalem because you want to, or to enter holy spaces because you feel like you're there. Our Rosh Yeshiva, Nar Shalom in Jerusalem, said, by the time Mashiach gets here, you won't be able to get into the land. There's going to be such a push. You're going to have to call a travel agent. I don't know. You're going to have inside connections. And the remaining people in the land will purify the land 7 months. Again, repeats it. And all those people that will be buried in this place, it's going to be a famous place, the valley of the multitude of Gog, Vagam Sham Ir Hamonamti Harua Aretz. And there too will be a city. So there's some clouds and questions here at the end about who are these leftovers that are going to form a city, because according to the simple grammar, it appears that the multitudes of Gog, not all of them will die, that they will remain behind, and the land will be purified, which means, of course, the removal of dead bodies. But it could be that many will survive and do tshuva and return and find the spark that illuminates us is all good and all faithful, and it's always been there and will always be there. And that's our work in this world, to find that spark inside. And God's going to do it in a way to sanctify his name that we're never going to forget him again. And we're not going to allow this absurdity called atheism, or disconnecting children from prayer and school and all this nonsense. This disconnects us from our true self. And when we're all doing that together under the name of one God, imagine how powerful that reputation will be. And for all those who carry it with glory, with pride, and with humility. Have a wonderful Simchat Torah, Chag Sameach. We'll see you again.